A very good afternoon and welcome to UBC Lunchtime News on this 30th day of March 2026. I am Brian Tumwine Biarhanga. The Vice President Jessica Alupo has assured arts teachers across the country of the 25% salary increment starting this financial year. Alupo says the increment will be implemented annually until arts teachers' salaries are aligned with those of their science counterparts. Let's take a look.
The Vice President made the remarks while officiating celebrations marking 120 years of King's College Budo.
Our teachers have been very professional. Thank you, our teachers, for professionals. Next financial year, government will begin in a phased way to enhance salaries of our teachers as well by 25%. And we are continuing while they are lobbying until the time when we can catch up with the science teachers.
Meanwhile, the Bishop of Namirembe Diocese, Moses Banja, has praised the peace brought about by the interim government, noting that Christians are now able to worship freely without disruption.
That is ease, but let us also enjoy the peace God has given us.
The minister without portfolio in the Buganda Kingdom government, Owechitiwa David Chisito Mpanga, says he will continue to support the school to ensure it maintains strong academic performance.
The Kingdom has a great stake in this school, so it's a great honor for me to be serving. I was in the school in 1982 to 1986. Great honor to be serving in the Kingdom.
The school's head teacher, Godfrey Kasamba, has commended the Buganda Kingdom for donating the land on which the institution stands, noting that the school has now marked 120 years of academic excellence.
Under the Church of Uganda, Namirembe Diocese, it was built of land donated by the Baba of Uganda, Sekawaka Daudi Chwa. Currently, it is recognized as a church founded government school.
Benon Mukwaya, Richard Chirembeka, UBC.
Thank you, Mukwaya, for that. Now let's cross to Chenjonjo. President Yoweri Museveni called for unity, hard work and participation in programs that place communities in the money economy. His message was delivered by the State Minister for Youth, Balaam Barugahara, at the opening of Butiti Catholic Church in Fort Portal Diocese. He praised the faithful for their commitment and sacrifice in constructing the church. The official opening was marked by prayers, thanksgiving, and celebrations. Jane Nyiramugisha brings us to speed.
President Museveni called for unity, hard work and participation in programs that place communities in the money economy. His message was delivered by the State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs, Balaam Barugahara, at the first Sunday after the opening of Butiti Catholic Church in Fort Portal Diocese. He praised the faithful for their commitment and sacrifice in constructing the church. The first Sunday after the official opening was marked by prayers, thanksgiving, and celebrations. The president emphasized that building God's house reflects spiritual maturity, urging Christians to invest in works that glorify God rather than personal gain.
I appreciate all the people who have come here to witness the opening of this church and those that have contributed to this construction. Since the work began, it is a gesture of spiritual maturity when we realize that just as our own houses are honorable built, God's house must also be presentable and well catered for in all aspects. This is one of the greatest and most yielding sacrifice. The Bible says in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 19-20.
He also officially opened Butiti Catholic Church, calling it a symbol of hope, togetherness, and spiritual growth. The parish priest, Reverend Father Bernard Bitecherezo Ateng, said the Christians contributed to construction of the church. He appealed to the president for the remaining shillings 600 million to buy seats.
Andi Kirokeijo na Bishop akasaba okurora tumalira omulimo guno kutekamu entebe yorole entebe bikalire hegyo niyo nizo tukozesa entebe zo nikolerwa kisubi kandi buli ntebemo kama tugibalira aroho zine bikabisatu ntebemo niyogura milioni 2.3 nyakuliye nyimeri 12 feet then garkaho milioni 1.8 then endi yetwara milioni 1.3 hantebe turiko nihera nke 13 twine hentebe ina nizo zero no 1 2 3 I think 4 3 ntebe ina ezitwine so ntebe zino zikabalirwa milioni rukaga.
Butiti Catholic Church is the biggest in the region, constructed at a cost of 6.2 billion shillings. The opening of Butiti Catholic Church adds to the growing number of religious infrastructures contributing to spiritual nourishment and community development. Jane Nyiramchia reporting for UBC.
Thank you, Jen, for that. The National Forestry Authority, in partnership with the Ministry of Water and Environment and the NCBA Bank, has intensified its ambitious campaign to plant 1 million trees aimed at restoring Uganda's rapidly declining forest cover. The initiative, launched last year in Masaka, continued with a 20,000 tree planting exercise in Namananga Forest Reserve near Mabida Forest, targeting 20 acres of degraded land using indigenous species. Wadilo McArnold brings us to speed.
Namananga is part of the Mabira landscape. We are here to launch a tree planting initiative together with NCBA Bank. They have funded restoration of 20 hectares of the degraded parts of Namananga Central Forest Reserve. Degradation is caused by the population around and illegalities like lumbering, charcoal burning, and a few who come in cutting trees and clearing land for cultivation. So we've been able to sensitize the communities, work together with them, and now we are restoring 20 hectares by planting indigenous tree species that existed in this forest and trees of high value, including Prunus africana, albizia, cordia, the mivules, those ones that have been here.
We cannot be successful as an organization, as NCBA, if we are working in a community that doesn't look after the trees. So that alone is an opportunity for us to actually give back to the community. Tree planting is also a commercial initiative where, as a bank, we can actually support a number of farmers that are actually in the tree planting business. And as a matter of fact, we support quite a number where they're actually in the business of planting, growing, and also harvesting those trees and then planting again.
They say we were born here in a form of just trying to take away this land, which is very bad. As the government of Kangumia Town Council, we've tried to chase some of these individuals. What I can say is that whoever knows that you resettled, you came and settled in the foresty land, you better run away, because once you are arrested, it will be very bad.
Nze forest guard wakamu katondo kana tusigala nga tukuma naye ng'ekibira nga mukimanyi tekikukumika kati nga wano akabira kali over 500 hectares. Katuyinza kubeera wano ng'eri batema nga tomanyi ogenda kutuukayo osanga baagitema. Katugenda kutuukawo nga giri wansi oba oluusi nga gya George. Naye bwe tusanga nga wadde yagitema nga yateekamu nga agezaako okwokya amanda, katanulu tugenda ne tukateekamu omuli ne tukookya.
Now let's talk copyright, UBC News. Parliament recently passed the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Bill 2025 to streamline the creative sector by enhancing regulations on intellectual property rights. This has been well received by the public despite some hiccups, including some players' disorganization. Now it is believed that the initiative could fail if the effective management systems for the creative industry are not well aligned. Daniel Mogoya has the details.
Parliament recently passed the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Amendment Bill 2025. The recording artists celebrated.
But we thank God that we are in a digital era and we have a digital system organization that is going to be following up, collaborating with the government agencies that is in place, UCC, URSB.
Really big milestone. We really want to thank God. We really want to thank the Parliament. We really need to thank the Member of Parliament who have been a voice to this. And we want to thank every artist who has added a voice and has been so active to really reaching this milestone.
It seemed a temporary freedom after a long trial to claim economic rights through royalties over the use of various creatives by different stakeholders.
Because every artist, every creator, whether you're a writer, whether you're an artist, whether you're a comedian, you have a collective management organization.
The amendment was made after the Principal Act could not meet the expectations of the creatives. However, the new legislation could be a solution to avoid a repeat of history.
What is disturbing musicians is administration. The one thing musicians can do, and there is sort of their problem, they need one organization. If government wants to help them, let government recognize that one association.
Uganda's music industry has evolved, and Daniel Kazibwe, alternatively known as Ragadi, has witnessed decades of transformation in the sector and narrates.
It was a race of who is better, Congolese music, South African music. Then it became a race of Uganda, who is better. There was a time of Kadongo Kamu, there was a time of band music, there was a time of raga music, and now there's a time of Nigerian music and music from the world. There's a time of Mapiano, and I mean, it's been growing.
Most players in the creative sector are not business-oriented, but rather respond to trending events.
Ask any artist today, which record company is buying their album? Which publishing house is buying their album? Now, what happened is because of the, I call it the disruptive innovation, the digital revolution. When the digital came on, the people started getting things for free.
Let us give them a unifying factor, that these musicians are all musicians, that what brings them together, that to be a serious musician, you must make a show. Why? Because the young musicians respect the association. The people who don't respect the associations are the big musicians.
The advancement in technology has been remarkable and embraced by the recording artists. But it came with an open market as the existing legal framework sidelined technological innovations.
The technology was advancing. The real buyers, the casino killers, started pulling out. Why? Because they would do DVDs and put on holograms, and they know that we have sold this number of cartons. Now the tangibility was lost. Now to see your tangible product is lost in the air. Why? People are buying air. People are now believing in streaming than loading or uploading or downloading stuff.
Some of the available structures, including Uganda Registration Services Bureau and Uganda Performing Rights Association, were ineffective in implementing their respective mandates.
I think the first thing is education. We have to, first of all, creatives and artists, they have to be educated on what this law means. Now, once they understand that, they get themselves organized, get an understanding of what it means by copyright law. So that is also very important that it happens. Once that happens, then you can start avoiding some of these setbacks that we're facing.
The initiatives in the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Amendment Bill 2025 cement more powers to ownership of creative content through placing systems to track third-party users. The copyright management system and the collective management organizations could change the existing narrative.
Even if you play Ugandan music or play Western music, you'll have to pay for the copyright certificate. Why? Everything that you use that is not yours, you should pay for it. So even if you say you're not going to play Ugandan music, the copyright license, you'll pay for it. It's just like the third party. You paid third party for your car. Exactly. When you get accident, who pays?
The stakeholders cite challenges including poor transparency, impunity, and poor coordination among performing artists, which could affect the implementation of the proposed legislation.
Let me give you a live example. The other day, when they were in the campaigns, I was seeing them. Kenzo had a team. Bebe Kulu came from, Kenzo was saying that, I want the regional artist to sing. Bebe Kulu said, no, there is no artist should sing. He came, he began his things, unstoppable. Now, the same fund are giving them money. You organize the Kenzo and Bebe Kulu. Already, you are killing Kenzos. There is a big boy in the house. There should be no big boy in the house.
The organogram of the creative industry in Uganda is Ministry of Gender and Labor, Uganda National Cultural Center,
Yes,
UNCC,
UNCC,
National Cultural Forum, then federations and associations.
The need for equitable remuneration for the use of all copyright works will ensure the creative industries remain sustainable drivers of jobs and gross domestic product growth in Uganda. Sectors like telecoms and gadgets sales motivate artists to create more quality works and content. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Much Dan Mugoya for that insightful piece. Now, that piece by Daniel Mugoya brings us to the very end of UBC Lunchtime News. I am Brian Tumwine Biaruhanga. Goodbye and God bless Uganda.